Good evening. I hope each of you is well and that your families are well, that you're practicing social distancing and doing all the things that are required to keep you as safe and healthy as can be in these very tumultuous times. Welcome to another edition of the Women's Empowerment Series sponsored by the National Council of Negro Women. Ordinarily, I would say to you that we're broadcasting from the Dorothy Irene Height building at 633 Pennsylvania Avenue. But tonight I have to say that we're broadcasting live from somewhere in Temple Hills, Maryland, and somewhere in Florida, and somewhere in other cities because we're all doing it from our individual residences. But you're in for a special treat tonight. We've got a young woman who is an expert in what she's about to talk to us about. And we've got a very special guest presenter who we will introduce after Mr. Johannes gives us some tips and cues about how to use the GoToWebinar platform. Again, welcome. We hope you learned something that is interesting that you can share. We'll be back after these introductory comments from Mr. Kevin Johannes.
Good evening. If you look to your right, you will see a small panel. Down on the panel in the bottom right-hand corner is a word that says handouts. We have provided you with two handouts. One is how to use a GoToWebinar or GoToMeeting if you have any other questions. The second one is a copy of the PowerPoint that we will be using tonight. If you look up, you'll see a button that says questions. You can actually type your questions in, and once you hit return, a hand will be raised on our end, and we will ask your questions to our host, guest, and presenter.
Thank you, Mr. Johannes. My name is Janice Mathis, and I'm privileged to be the Executive Director of the National Council of Negro Women, where we are this year celebrating 85 years of advocacy and empowerment for Black women and women of African descent, their families, and communities. We've been fortunate to have great leaders. Just this week, we celebrated the 108th anniversary of the birth of the iconic Dr. Irene Height. But we have no shortage of leadership at NCNW. One of my personal heroes and a woman who pours out so much into the lives of others that everywhere she goes, the crowds part and young women swarm around her because they just want to be in her aura, in her presence. You see the picture, but let me just say a word about Dr. Janetta Betch Cole. She is an authority on her discipline, which is anthropology. She is a scholar. She is a leader of institutions. She was president of Spelman College. She was also president of Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina. And she led the Smithsonian Museum of African Art. But that is just the beginning of who she is. She is warm and caring and funny and goes out of her way for her friends and makes her colleagues feel so special that they think they can walk through fire in order to gain her trust and approval. None other than Janetta Cole will come now to introduce our presenter this evening. Dr. C.
Thank you, my sister Edie. And good evening, my NCNW sisters. I'd like to think there's some righteous NCNW brothers who have joined us. And I'd like to think that there are some sisters and brothers who may not be members of NCNW or in the associates, which is the wing of righteous men in support of our mission. But you're going to join up at the end of this webinar because you are going to be both educated and uplifted. I asked my sister Edie if she thought it would be appropriate, given the times that we are in, if we might begin with a prayer. It is a prayer that I received today because I am a member of the Links. I'd like to read that prayer to you. It is entitled Prayer for a Pandemic. May we who are merely inconvenienced remember those whose lives are at stake. May we who have no risk factors remember those most vulnerable. May we who have the luxury of working from home remember those who must choose between preserving their health or making their rent. May we who have the flexibility to care for our children when their schools close remember those who have no option. May we who have to cancel our trips remember those that have no safe place to go. May we who are losing our margin money in these tumultuous times of the economic market remember those who have no margin at all. May we who settle in for quarantine at home remember those who have no home. During these times when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other, let us find ways to be the loving embrace of God to our neighbors. The author of the poem is unknown, but clearly the message is for each of us. Well, my sisters and my brothers, my dear, dear siblings, you know, there are at least two ways that you can introduce somebody. First of all, you could give a formal statement that is usually centered on the individual's work. But you can also introduce someone by going straight from your heart and giving a testimonial. I want to briefly introduce Sister Carla Maxwell Ray and do so in both ways. First, the formal way. So I'll have to sort of sit up a little bit and do this in a formal way. Sister Carla Maxwell Ray is a senior generosity strategist with 2 decades of experience in generating funds for worthy causes. Carla, our sister, recently published a book entitled 5 Pillars of a First-Class Life. Now, I've got to be straightforward and honest and tell you I am so proud to have endorsed this book. It is highly informative and it is deeply inspiring. It's a guide to financial freedom and mission-driven living. Carla's firm is called Generis. It's a Christian firm that accelerates generosity in churches and in not-for-profit organizations. Now, I'm going to tell you, this sister has worked with some extraordinarily high-profile individuals. She's worked with Oprah Winfrey, with Warren Buffett, with Denzel Washington, with the late Dr. Maya Angelou. Well, Paula did what you'd expect her to do when it was time to go to college. She's a very centered person in her Blackness and in her gender. So she should have gone to Spelman or Bennett, but I'm going to excuse her. She did, though, go to a historically Black university, Lincoln University. And then she went on to earn an MBA from the University of Delaware. But my NCNW sisters, here is the most special thing that I can say in this sort of formal introduction of Carla Maxwell Ray. And that is, she is a fundraising expert, a development consultant with our beloved organization, the National Council of Negro Women. Now let me do just a little bit of testifying about my colleague, my sister friend, Carla Maxwell Ray. Carla and I worked together many years ago when I had that exquisite honor and privilege and joy of serving as the president of Spelman College. Well, Carla Maxwell Ray was an advancement administrator at Spelman until, get ready for this, those brothers over at Morehouse College had the nerve to steal Carla from me. Now, I've forgiven her because she and I, as women of faith, know the importance of forgiveness. But Carla, forgiveness doesn't mean you forget. What else can I say about my sister, Carla? Well, I want to say this, that a woman who has gifts of brilliance, a woman who has genuine grace, is quite a woman, and that's Carla. But when you have brilliance and grace, and you want to serve, that makes you, in my view, an exceptional woman. It's so good to have Carla with us tonight, to have her join our sister ED in hosting a webinar on fiscal freedom flourishing during uncertain times. I've heard Carla make presentations before. I work with her. I am so intensely pleased and proud of the way that these two sisters who are here tonight are working together as Carla unlocks this sweet spot that Janice L. Mathis, Esquire, has. And it's called a sweet spot, an interest in and an ability to do genuine fundraising and advancement work. So, Sister Carla, even though I'll have to leave before your presentation is over, I do have another commitment tonight, and it is on Zoom. What else do we do these days to be safe? But I couldn't resist. I could not resist this invitation to say tonight how much I respect you, how deeply I admire you, and of course, I have sisterly love for you. So back to you, Sister ED. Not hearing you.
Think that I was muted. Thank you so much for sharing with us and pouring out about Carla. We just love her. And I knew that she would be a very special presenter for us this evening So I can't wait to hear what she has to share with us. It's going to be delightful. Carla, the show is all yours. And thank you again, Dr. Cole. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I am truly humbled to come before you this evening. Dr. Cole, you are my ultimate mentor, and I'm astonished by your leadership. I was astonished 20 some years ago, and I'm astonished today. So thank you for your gracious words. And my sister, E.D. Mathis, we have become BFFs, and that field of resourcing NCNW. So I am just so pleased and thankful to be before you this evening. Well, all of you, for you to pause and take this time to come and share and to be with us is very special. This empowerment series is timely. E.D. Mathis and I talked months ago about April being Financial Literacy Month and doing something in preparation for that. And here we are, this title, Things Just Don't Happen. So I'm pleased to present tonight, Flourishing During Uncertain Times. Let's get to work. So Dr. Cole mentioned that I authored a book this year, 5 Pillars of a First Class Life, and thank you so much, Dr. Cole, for endorsing it. I actually took from my experience working with Dr. Cole and many others and having to interact with high capacity, very wealthy, generous, philanthropic people. These families taught me many lessons through the years, and I felt that I was keeping them in a capsule, hidden from the world. So I had to pour it out, the lessons that they taught me. Also, I was fortunate to be born to terrific parents. My dad, though not highly educated, by his example, taught me the 3 rules of money, the principles of economics. Principle 1, you get a job and you make money. Principle 2, you hire people to make you money. And principle 3 is you use your money to make money. Well, I just like to express appreciation to him for those 3 principles, and we need to exercise that every day that we can. And then my very gracious mom, who's departed now, but boy, does she teach me a lot. Going to college at 13 years old, and then graduating and becoming a principal and just motivating thousands, mentoring thousands. I watched her example. And so from my start, I was poured into by people of the caliber of Dr. Cole, my parents, and so many others, like my aunt, Barbara Shaw. I'm just so humbled by that. But there was a colleague that I knew for years, and my husband was talking to me about taking a trip. And so he says, Carla, I am going to take a trip and I'm going to ride in first class. So I leaned back and I said, well, sweetheart, we've decided our lifestyle that instead of riding first class, that we take that money and invest it in a scholarship for a student to buy books or give it to our church. And he says, I'm going to be the first in first class. So he takes this trip. On the plane, after all the first class passengers are on board, come the coach passengers. And there's a gentleman, Sean. Sean and my husband and I have known each other for decades. So they give each other the bump and catch up. Business is great. And Sean goes on back to coach. A couple of weeks later, my husband and I get a call from a colleague. And he says, did you hear about Sean? And we say, why? Is he okay? And he said, he's more than okay. Sean just sold his business to a Fortune 500 company for over $100 million. Well, I looked at my husband And I said, sweetheart, you may be in first class in Delta, but I'm going to sit and coach next to Sean and live a first class life. So I'm about to take you on that journey because these 5 pillars are the key pillars to flourishing and living that first class life. Now, we're going through a very difficult season. And I wanted you to actually just look through what's happening now and see how you can take some of the lessons, some of the questions, some of the predicaments that I present to you and actually apply them today. Because we have this reflective time, we can learn from these pillars, these 5 pillars. And then at the end, I'm going to challenge you to do your own mission statement. And you'll do that on your own, and hopefully you'll share it with me. But the letter that Dr. Cole, the prayer letter that Dr. Cole read to us, really helps us dig deep and explore what we need to do during this crisis. You see, COVID-19 is temporary, but our love for our fellow man, now that's eternal. Throughout each of the pillars, you'll be able to find where you can define your purpose in life, where you can learn ways to actually fund what you're meant to do, fund your lifestyle, and then you can live freely, financially free, secure lives to pursue what your mission in life is. Each of us have different callings. Each of us have different things that we need to accomplish. Now I'm going to start off pretty harsh here, and that's the D word. Did anyone go for a morning run this morning? Well, not many of us do, but we all know we should. Discipline is rough. It's not pleasant, but we must exercise discipline. So, one of the things in exercising discipline is watching your spending. You know, many people encourage you, you got to save, you got to save, you got to save. And I say, well, it's not how much you save, it's how much you spend. And does that spending enhance the relationships that you have with others? So I challenge you to do more value-based spending. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So you may say, Carla, how can I change my lifestyle? What is the process? Well, Generis, we talk about 3 steps, 3 R's. So get your pens and papers ready if you'd like. The first R is to reassess. Reassess what you do have. Reassess your wealth. Now, if I talked to you a month ago, I'm sure you were, if you were invested in the stock market, you were feeling pretty wealthy. However, if we look at it today, we're not spending a lot of money eating out, running here and there. Gas prices have gone down. And really, we don't have some of the bills that we have when we work every day outside of our home. So the first R is reassess. Step 2 is to reprioritize. Okay, I want you to literally go through your online accounts, see where you're spending, your credit card statements, your online accounts, your checkbook, whatever you use to spend your money, your Cash App. Go through and define where your values are. Many of us don't even know what our money is telling about our hearts, because where you spend your money, that reflects your values. So let's flip the script and let's reorder and prioritize according to our values in our lives. So I said reassess, reprioritize, and the third one is reallocate. We want to be trusted. When you have a child, one child just spends foolishly and doesn't take care of the things that you entrust to them. Another child is careful and plans and is not impulsive. You have a little bit more confidence in that second child. And so take good care of what you're given. Be a good steward, but make sure it aligns with your values. So the 3 steps of changing your lifestyle, again, are reassess, reprioritize, and yes, reallocate. Isn't this fun? Well, let's get more serious. We've got to budget, budget, and budget. It's called being disciplined. Well, nowadays, it's so easy. You can use Met app on your phone. There's so many websites, and I'm going to talk about a little bit of sources that you can use if you're not used to budgeting or if you really don't know where to put line items. We're not going to dive into that today, but there's certain obstacles, and you need to be intentional about where your money is going. So many ask, well, Carla, this may come naturally to you, but it doesn't come naturally to us. So how do we start? Well, first, be very, very clear about your goal. Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to be financially secure? Do you just want to be out of debt? Second, reorganize your life. We talked about the values. Make sure that your life reflects your purpose. Third, identify those obstacles. Is it that when you go into the mall, you're really impulsive? Or that Friday evening nowadays, you have your glass of wine and you're online, just clicking away, ordering everything your heart desires? One of my nieces told me, I'm really good with my money as long as I don't have to say no. Yes, you got to say no. Fifth, seek help. Just ask for help. There's plenty of people that are willing to help you, including me. 6, you need an accountability partner. Sure, everyone has different issues and does different things, but you need someone to help you. 8, you got to persevere. Keep on going and going. 9, count the cost of not doing it. Will your children and your children's children and your children's children receive an inheritance because you lived a lifestyle worthy of passing something on to them? And 10, take the leap. Just do it. Seize the moment. Just dive in and do it. Financial promiscuity is a symptom of an undisciplined people. Be disciplined. I like this discussion a lot better. Each of us is a masterpiece. Dr. Cole has a way of showing you how you're a masterpiece, and I thank her for that. I remember all the things she spoke into my life and how she continues to do so. But she also, through her own life, shows us what a masterpiece is like. A masterpiece is something that awes others, that is well constructed and will last. Sustainability. Sometimes in life, we do some things that are uncommon, uncomfortable, unpopular. It may not seem right to others, but our inner man tells us this is the way to go. You've got to be able to answer your why. You've got to be able to hear what impact you're going to have and define that. Life does offer difficult challenges, but we can learn from them and we can heal. So there's this phrase called release the balloon. That whole process of just releasing things that are hindering you in healing is very important. Also, it's the process of being your organic self. So just take a quiet moment by yourself. Take a walk in these beautiful spring days and just think about what truly brings me peace. What gives me confidence? Lean into those things. Answer those questions. Write it down. Be your organic self. I'll just tell you a brief story. I was in New York with a nonprofit executive, and we were going to the board meeting, and I straightened my hair. And he looked at me. He says, "Why did you straighten your hair?" And I said, "Well, I just wanted it straight for a couple of weeks." And he says, "But that's not you." He says, "I'm Jewish, and I don't understand why Jewish and Black women straighten their hair." So I said, "Well, you can't understand. It's just something that women do." He says, "I hope I'm not offending you." And I'm like, "No, no." He says, "When you wear your hair in the twist and natural, you look trendy and with it. When you straighten your hair, you just look regular." So I haven't straightened my hair since, of course. True, I have a couple of times, but it just reminded me to be my organic self. Now, be the first at something. At least strive to be the first at something. Your uniqueness is an asset to someone. And so you definitely want to strive to master something. I was mentoring this young man, and he said to me, "Well, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with my life." And I told him to reflect on what his grandparents said about him. You know, grandparents have a way of picking up things that parents are too close to see. And he was telling me that they told him that he was really good at measuring distances and like trains and navigating portals and that type of thing, and that they thought he was going to be an engineer. And that work came easy to him. So sometimes we have the wisdom of our elders that can see things that we can't see and that our parents can't see. Being a masterpiece, you really have to resist the desire to pursue riches. I know. We mentioned a couple of rich people, Warren Buffett, Gates, Beyonce, and Jay-Z. There are rich people all around us, especially when it considers the celebrities. Do we really want riches? Riches are temporary. We felt that through what's happening. Health and wealth are something that we pursue for the long term. Wealthy in relationships, wealthy and attitude and emotion, spiritual wealth, and of course, healthy finances. When you look back over your life, people have invested in you and poured into you. Thank God they did me. And I have a responsibility to carry their torches forward. They may be gone, they may have gone on, but I'm still here. So who are you going to carry the torch for? I'm not saying that you have to be perfect or anything such as that, but we all have the potential to be a masterpiece. Here I go back. Be diligent. Well, this is where many of my colleagues say I am most strong, I guess is the word. Endure for the good. Well, Dr. Cole mentioned that I worked at Morehouse, and so the quotes of Benjamin Elijah Mays resonate with me. The tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goal to reach. We've got to work hard to reach our goal. There's no promise that it will come easy. So do you value hard work? Do you get joy from accomplishing much in your life? How have you observed how persevering will help you accomplish your goal? Have you tried saving? My husband owns a business, Caring Transitions, and it's estate sales where he helps seniors transition from their large estates to living assistance, or if they pass on, he helps a family. And I'm telling you, the treasures there are just wonderful. The statement, one man's trash is another's treasure, is so true. Everything I have on today, except for my glasses, are another man's trash, but it was treasure for me because it's high quality items. My whole house is redone. My wardrobe, where I've bought really high quality items for a dime on the dollar. Because I have a goal where I want to be generous, where I want to bless others. And so I've got to do that in order to do that. And plus, I truly believe in recycling. So yes, I do love the apps where you can let go, or Pushmark, Zully. There's so many apps that actually consignment stores, estate sales, where you can do that. But you've got to be diligent, you've got to plan and make it happen. Also, when you're budgeting and you're actually budgeting to save more and to spend less, there's some excellent programs up there. My client, Dr. Cerise at First Baptist in Lincoln Garden, has this program called D Free. It's excellent, and it helps you budget and save. There's many others, Crown Ministries, Dave Ramsey's FPU, Financial Peace University. There's just so many, and where you can benefit from digging deep and developing your plan to save more and developing a personalized plan. Now, I would suggest that we become old-fashioned, that we get to paste paper to pencil. You know how now you don't receive your receipts? Oh no, give me my receipt. I challenge you each to take 30 days. Now, this is a difficult period, so it's not as typical as most, but so you may want to wait until you get back to it. But if you want to try it for 60, 90 days, that's fine. But at least 30 days of receipts, expenditures. And then just divide it up and really see where your money's going. And does that align with your purpose in life? Does it align with your priorities? And write your priorities down and see how you're financially supporting what you're meant to do. You'll see yourself creeping out of debt. My husband and I have led hundreds and hundreds of families towards financial freedom, and we definitely want that for you. Just a couple of other tips. Make sure you have that emergency fund. You may start with 3 months, but build it up to 9 months. Talk to your CPA or your financial advisor about starting a Roth. I integrate my emergency fund into my Roth. There's some timing issues there, so talk to them about it. I'm not a CPA nor a financial advisor or certified financial professional, but I do know how to manage money quite well. Also, you want to be able to give at least 10%, preferably to your house of worship. But then another 10% give to fine organizations like NCNW. Support that mission, and you will be blessed. just go ahead, set your goals, set them really, really high, and then sort of come to reality. See where you'll end up. Just be determined to work hard so that you'll get there. Yes, be diligent. This is what I do every day. And I've done it now for over 20 years, is help people be radically generous in the area that most impacts them. Generosity, if we look at the Latin root word, it means noble. We can sit up a little higher now. Noble. There are certain key steps to flourishing, to accelerating change. I alluded to a couple of them, but just to make it shorter for you, here we go. You got to have a vision for your life. Some tangible goals centered around your purpose. 1, have a vision. 2, you got to complete that plan. Put in the hard work. Some of us use vision boards, but make sure that you take it from the board and put it into actionable items. Assign milestones, timelines, people that are going to help you get there, all that. Make it like a project management tool and build what you're supposed to build. 2, execute with excellence. Don't compromise on the quality. Anticipate and remove obstacles. So important that you not be blindsided. Give some preparation and forethought to where you're going. Those 4 things will change your path. How do you become radically generous? Well, some of us are born that way. I believe my mother was. Unfortunately, I was not. So I have to often remind myself of situations that I've been loved despite myself. Situations where people have just done radically generous things for me. One of the things that, and I don't want to embarrass you, Dr. Cole, but I remember when I first started working at Spelman, I'd only been there a week, and my firstborn had to be hospitalized. It was my first day back to work after just being there a week. And the big assembly was starting with all the students and the parents and the faculty. And Dr. Cole was about to go up on the stage, and she caught a glimpse of me outside of the side of her eye. She stopped, turned around, came, gave me a hug, and said, "Your baby will be fine." And then she did Dr. Cole. I never forgot it because she loved me despite myself. How can you be intentionally generous? Well, you have to be the change you want to see. You have to be informed. You have to link up with others. There we go again, setting those benchmarks, making that plan, having that abundance perspectives, holding yourself accountable, celebrating your success. Hey, party over here, even though it's virtually, right? And just be grateful. Just say thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful. You see, there's so much. What is promised to us is that if we're generous, that our lives will be enriched in all ways. And on top of that, we'll be given more so that we can be generous on every occasion. So please have that abundance perspective. Just a short story here. When I was younger, my sister cousins and my twin, the 4 of us would play wagon train. And you younger folk may not know what that is, but it's when you go out into the desert and you have this tent. And so we would play it in our bedroom, but we would make a tent and then we would go get rations. And so my twin would go and she would just raise the refrigerator and come back with all the treats and everything. So of course, my sister cousins is what I call them. They would want to be on her team. They would want to go with her. And nobody wanted to go with me. So they were teasing me the next morning, and my mom overheard the conversation. And she looked me in my eye and she says, Carla, God has blessed us with more than enough. And anything that we have, we are to share. So go for it, Carla. Share what you do have because we have abundance. And that leads to love and harmony. Generosity brings abundance. Wow. The last pillar, pillar 5, be resilient. Every good accomplishment in life demands perseverance, endurance, resilience. You see, resilience builds character. And when you look at an oak tree, the oak tree is strong and thick and unmovable. But eventually the wind breaks it. The willow tree, however, is not as thick and learns to bend with the wind. And even though it's less sturdy than the oak, it withstands time and it survives because it's resilient. Look around you. You know some resilient people. You know some people that have inspired you. Of course, we know the icons like Harriet Tubman and now Madam C.J. Walker and many others. But there are people in your circle of influence who aren't perfect. You see their flaws, but they inspire you. Why? Those characteristics of bouncing back is powerful. And so I'd like to just share a story about my oldest sister. My oldest sister and her husband have been married over 30 years and enjoying life. Their home was aging and my brother-in-law's health wasn't the best, but things were well. And her career was doing great. And then her job ended. Well, they had to cut back. They couldn't make all the major repairs they wanted to make, but life continued. Then her husband got deathly ill and passed. So my oldest sister mourned and grieved, just stood firm, moved from that beautiful home they had, got an apartment, and was getting comfortable, getting in her own groove in Baltimore. And then she got a call. You see, it was 6 months before her baby boy was about to get married. The call was from his fiance. He was killed in a crash. It devastated my family in a significant way. And I couldn't hardly push through. But then I looked at my sister, his mom. This was her baby boy. He was 28 years old. He was on the fast track. He'd gotten his MBA and getting married. His home, he'd just purchased a home for he and his bride, and it was on a golf course, and he was gone. But my sister held her chest, looked to God. She moved to North Carolina in her son's home, enrolled in school to get her master's, started pastoring a small church, and is soaring. Those are the characteristics of resiliency. As Dr. Cole says, she's my shero. You see, knowing your purpose helps you stand strong, helps you get through. If you're focused and you have your goal set, you're not distracted by the social media, the conversations, you're just pushing through. And you make the right choices so that you can fulfill your purpose. Things happen well. Now I want to pause here and talk about choices. So one of the things that I recommend is that you do a decision chart. And I've designed this thing just based on other people's design of decision trees, etc. And I actually put weights on it. And it's a quantitative decision chart where you take all your options and the quality of life issues and you give them all weight, and you actually helps you objectively make decisions without the emotion of the moment. And it really has helped me make some great decisions for my life and see things clear, because when you're in the midst of it, it just gets foggy sometimes. So that's always something that I try to do. Another thing that helps me push through and to be resilient is the statement that I say when life hits hard. I say, Paris is always a good idea. Now, what do I mean? Well, when I was in college, I had the opportunity to go to Paris, France, and live for a semester and study for a quarter. I could not believe it, 25 cents. But it changed my life. And so that's my happy place. Yours may be a beach, yours may be holding that baby, yours may just be working in your garden. But mine is Paris. It's always a good idea. My brothers, sisters, be resilient, and you will endure. Now, as we conclude, I'd like to challenge you to actually develop your own mission statement that you can post, that you can show to others. It's a well thought out expression of your why. So why are you here, and what goals align with your priorities and your purpose in life? Where are you really gifted and talented? And what keeps you, what distracts you, what makes you aimless? So I'm offering to you to come to my website, and you can carlamaxwellray.com/mission statement and just check there and come on in, and you can actually fill out your mission statement. It's a form there, and I ask key questions. I also give you some scripture references to help you focus. And you complete your mission statement, and then you can print it out and post it. And it's fun, it's enlightening, and I've just gotten so much positive feedback about defining your why. So what's next? Does it all end here? Do we go through these uncertain times and it stops? No, of course not. I want to take you through a 7-week course. It's a virtual course through Zoom, where we'll study each of the pillars, and we'll actually work on your mission statement. I'll show devices with you that I alluded to in this presentation. Please go to Amazon and order my book, 5 Pillars of a First Class Life, and enjoy reading it. And then contact me if you have any questions so that I can be of help. May God bless you, and I thank you for your time and attention. And Sister ED, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you all for being so attentive. Thank you. You're on mute, Sister ED. We can't hear you. Are you able to hear me?
No, because I was muted. Your generosity is remarkable and amazing. The generosity of your spirit, your willingness to share all of what you have learned through life and from life with all of us. And I just want to thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I understand better why I like you so much, because I understand now better about what makes you tick. And I couldn't help but laugh. My house is full of beautiful antiques that came from Craigslist and hand-me-downs. The favorite thing is an old shiffer robe that a woman who helped my father avoid being homeless gave to him. And it's about 100 years old, but it's the most fabulous prized possession, and it cost me nothing. My idea of a shopping spree is to, I don't know, go to some place like TJ Maxx and find goodies that are undervalued. But I set up a fund in the name of my parents so that I could make gifts to their alma maters. And would I buy a piece of real estate or would I buy another suit? And so I get that it's not what you have, it's what you value. I'm not going to try because I won't do it well, but value spending. Don't be financially promiscuous. Seek help. Persevere. Parents are our financial role models. I love your stories, the way you talk about your sister and your parents, and the trials and tribulations that you went through and the joys that you experienced, because all of that makes it real. But what I would like to do now, if you have a few more minutes, is to allow our audience to ask you, would you take a couple of questions? I'm sure there must be some.
Absolutely.
Mr. Johannes, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, ma'am, we do. First, we have 12 thank yous.
Okay. I'm not surprised.
Then,
it was very moving, Carla. Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome.
Then it says, how can I go about getting a mentor and or business coach?
So first, you have to define, where do you want to grow? Where do you have some holes or lack in some areas? After you've defined that, then there's several places you could go for mentoring. National Council of Negro Women has sections, and that's what they're all about. Pulling each other up, sharing best practices, guarding each other from unexpected things. So that's one place. But then a broader audience is LinkedIn. Many of us on LinkedIn actually volunteer to be advisors. A third place, of course, is church. So seeking some help from other members in your church if you belong to a church. If not, then a place of worship or a community place where you come together.
And may I add that they can take the mini course, the virtual course, and buy the book. And from that, they will get guidance and coaching and lots of great advice. Are there other questions? That was great. Any other questions? I know there must be questions.
The answer is yes. How do I define my why?
We talked about that a little, but not much. There's actually about 20 questions that I'll walk you through. And of course, I'll work with you definitely more intensely on defining your why. But questions such as, what do I admire in other people? What type of environment pushes me to feel, and what type of environment do I flourish? So I take you through questions such as that, and then we formulate your mission statement, and that will help you answer your why.
Okay, next question is, how much is the course?
Good question. Well, there's an introductory. This is actually this is the pilot that I'm doing. So it's an introductory price of $75 to take the 7-week course.
I'm signing up.
That's it.
I'm going to take it.
Yes. So it's only $75, and you come on once a week, Tuesdays, every Tuesday for the next 7 weeks, April 14th, the Tuesday after Easter, or that holy holiday, and for the next 7 weeks, and I'll work with you and other colleagues. But having the book is a good start, because you'll need to read sections in the book so we can be on the same plate.
The next question is as a new nonprofit founder, I find it very difficult to find funding for our programs. What strategically is the best way to do that?
Well, I have a couple of answers. First, I'll give the immediate answers. With this crisis, it's difficult. However, foundation, in fact, ED Janice, this is what I was going to talk to you about tomorrow. Foundations did very well last year, so they need to spend that money this year. So focusing on some foundation dollars, you can go to the Foundation Center and do some research in your area of expertise, in your area of implementation, and actually find funders that can help. But let me just say, generally speaking, the best way to find money is from individuals.
Okay, we have some more thank yous. When does the course start?
April 14th at 7 p.m. Tuesday, April 14th at 7 p.m.
Is it live, and will it also be recorded?
Yes, yes. It is live, and my presentation will be recorded, but I'll cut it off for the Q&A because some people may have some particular things that they want to talk about.
Can you share the price of the book?
Yes, the book is $25.95 on Amazon.com.
Forgive me, I'm trying to remove some redundant questions that we've already asked.
Yes, of course. These are good questions, and I appreciate your responsiveness.
How can I get in touch with you and your spouse on the financial course? Okay, I'm not quite sure about that one, but.
Well, if you sign up for my course, my spouse will pounce in and give his opinion too. Believe me, he has a story himself, and many of you will benefit from that.
Please say the website again, because some people are asking.
Yes, it's www.carlamaxwellray.com. It's easy, carlamaxwellray.com.
All right.
Well, I just encourage you all to continue attending these empowerment seminar series, these webinars, and continue supporting the National Council of Negro Women.
Thank you for that, Carla. I will tell people that every second and fourth Thursday evenings at 7 p.m., we present these webinars. The entire goal is to motivate and inspire you so that you can empower yourselves. If you want to watch it again, it'll be at www.ncnw.org. And some people find it helpful to host a party and watch it with friends. And you can stop the video and munch on popcorn and drink coffee and talk about what the presenters are saying. We're very fortunate that we have high quality presenters each and every time on different subjects. Most of them, because I like economics, most of them have a financial tinge to them, because I think if we get our financial lives in order, it helps with so many other things. It helps us to prioritize what's important. I also encourage you, Carla's already said this more than once, join NCNW. We're 85 years old. You don't get to be 85 years old. You don't get to be 85 years old unless you're doing something right. Our national convention will be September 24th through the 28th at the magnificent Gaylord. And we struck a very good deal with them for the rooms too.
In this season, yes.
Yes, because everything is negotiable. You never accept first price for anything until you inquire. That's the Janice rule.
Yes, it's a good one, Janice.
So I just want to thank everyone for being a part. And let me tell you something about NCNW that I love. So many organizations have high hurdles for membership. The dues might be very high. You have to have a certain kind of resume or background. But with NCNW, if you want to be empowered, if you believe in the power of Black women, and if you can put together $50, you can be a member of NCNW. And we have sections, that's what we call our chapters, in most major cities and in many major cities like New York and Florida and Texas and California, many. We have almost 300 sections of NCNW and nearly 2 million members. So join an organization that puts you in the center of things and helps you achieve your own goals. Thank you again for being part of this. I look forward to seeing you next time. It'll be the second Tuesday in April. Thank you again, Carla, and good night.